Hello, welcome to the weekly outlook in the DeFi Dojo. Today is September 15th, and we're going to discuss what to expect in the week ahead. We're going to go over the markets and the charts. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. We had a nice relief bounce last week. I wasn't expecting it. I really thought that after this retest of the 8 EMA, after these EMAs went bearish, and I realized that when I rewatch my videos that it's really small when I'm like pointing things out. So I'm gonna try to zoom in better so you can see. But here was last week's rejection of the 8 EMA. And you can see that when we are in a bull market, the 8 EMA is over the 21 EMA, right? So we've had like 4 months now since March when we topped of sideways, slightly down price action. And for a while, everyone's saying, oh, this is a bull flag. It's a bull flag. And it might still be a bull flag. I don't really know. For me, it's kind of carried on a little too long. And now the EMAs are bearish. So that opens the door for further downside. This is a bullish engulfing candle. So maybe that means something. But not being able to close back over the 8 EMA just now, like 30 minutes ago, that isn't giving me a whole lot of confidence that we're gonna, cross these EMAs bullish again. 62K is kind of the line in the sand for me, and if we can't get back over that, then I think we're gonna continue further down. The RSI and the MACD are still above center. So it does kind of make sense because these are still in bullish territories, technically speaking, that we're getting this wishy-washy price action. It's trying to decide whether or not it wants to be bullish or bearish, and we're like kind of right at the borderline of it choosing that situation. So, I'm still not in crypto. I sold it weeks ago, and I'm still not really wanting to buy it until it proves to me that it's going to at least get up back over 62K and try to make a break for the top trend line here on this, what might be a bull flag. It's kind of questionable at this point because of how long it's taken. So that opens the door for the main trend down here at the bottom of the channel. And if you kind of stretch down here, we started at the very bottom. We go through the lows of September of last year, and now trend lines are kind of like magnets, so this could be where we're going at some point in time. And until we break back over 62K, I am assuming further downside. With total market cap kind of showing me the same thing, we're kind of just hovering around the 236 here, and we're retesting the EMAs just kind of like Bitcoin did. And so while we're just hanging out around the 2 trillion mark, it's a big psychological level. There's a little bit of a consolidation back in here on the daily. If I move to the daily, you'll see that back here. And that's kind of where the support's been hanging out. But if that breaks, like with any real significance, then we're heading down to this green zone. And if you look, that's the trend line here as well. And so that's kind of where I'm eyeballing my re-entry, right? And so if we go from, 2 trillion down to potentially 1.5, 1.6, that's, I'm saving myself 25% basically on that re-entry. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't know if we're going to get it. If I have to end up buying back higher because we don't, then so be it. In the meantime, I'm chilling with no anxiety or stress because I don't have any. And that's the way I like to be right now. Looking at total 3, kind of the same situation. We could not close over that 8 EMA here. And we're just kind of hanging out above the R1/0.382 pivot or fib. And so we could see downside as much as this week because we couldn't get over that 8 EMA. Once we do get over, I want to see a close over R2 at the minimum in order to get back into some altcoins, right? So until then, I'm waiting. You can see these are now in bearish momentum territories, right? So like that's very close to getting underneath the center mark here. And if you're not familiar with these, the center mark is where the green and the red change, right? So that's like right where my horizontal axis is right now. And so you can see the average is getting very close to breaking below center. And the current MACD already is. And both of these RSI lines, the average and the RSI, are under 50. So altcoins are definitely bearish right now. Total is approaching that situation on the weekly as we speak. So we could be in for some really volatile couple weeks ahead. With that said, Zach just recently shared with us that in the equities markets, the last 2 weeks of September have historically been the worst 2-week period that the market has seen. So, if history is any indication, we might be in for a very rocky end of September. And this is kind of another reason why I'm not really jumping into anything. If we look at the S&P 500, we have this little minor downtrend going on, and a lot of volatility in this range where, price is just dumping and then coming straight back up, and we have like a lot of these like V-shaped recoveries, and it's really shaking traders out, me included. Like I really didn't trade last week. I had a little meta put that I gained on Monday, and I kind of didn't touch anything after that, and I'm lucky I took profits when I did, because meta shot up like, I don't know, I'm at 6 or 7% from Monday to Friday. So it's just, if you don't get the direction that you're looking for very quickly in this market, just bail, right? And if you do get the direction you're looking for very quickly, take your profits. Like this is a market for the next 2 weeks where you just need to get in and get out, take your profits, and be happy that you got some gains, because it's probably going to get nuts. We have rate cuts also that Zach shared in a tweet, and there's like, I don't know how many countries doing rate decisions this week alone, so things are probably going to get a bit nuts. If we look at the dollar, it's still just hanging out on this 0.5, and I think if that 0.5 breaks, we could see some serious, crap. So if it holds and starts moving back up in the other direction, then maybe things will be okay. Because markets like a sideways dollar, and as long as we stay in this range here, then I think markets will be okay. But once we break that range, things might get a little hectic. Looking at the NASDAQ, it's a little easier to read for me, so that's the one that I choose to trade when I trade some options. I like trading QQQ. I do pretty well when I find something I like there. Notice that we're hitting that downtrend right now, and our MACD is still under center, right? So this is still a bearish momentum indication on the daily. The average is below, but the current RSI is above. And if we look at the weekly, that downtrend is important, right? So we keep closing above, closing below, closing above the EMAs. This makes it very difficult to trade, so I would use caution when trying to short-term trade this week. Basically in every market that exists, it's probably going to be really difficult. The Dow Jones closed another candle back above the 1.414 after closing below last week, and then the week prior above. So it's just very wishy-washy. These EMAs are still bullish. Equities are still bullish, technically speaking. But with the EMAs going straight sideways for months now, it's very, very hard to pick a short-term direction. I do think that we're going to probably see some downside. This isn't a bullish engulfing candle. If we look at ES on the weekly, this is not a bullish engulfing candle. So the candle itself didn't really do enough to say like, okay, we're going to keep going up, like straight up from here. So I think we might see, move back down to the 8 EMA on the weekly, which is right now around 55.64. For NQ, it's a little closer. It's around 19,350. So that 19K mark might touch again around the 21 EMA too. So just like, know your ranges in those little short little spots that we have to work with, and just take your profits as soon as you see those things touch, because it'll likely just rebound the other way and very quickly in any market. Okay, if we look at Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, this is still bearish. In order to get this back to bullish, we need to at least get back over this 236, and you can see for 3 weeks in a row now we have not been able to do that. And looking at Ethereum, it's trapped between our all-important uptrend line, which is this white one, and this yellow downtrend line. To see the downtrend, we can go to the daily, and you can see that this is where we continually keep rejecting. So we just had a daily close back below the 8 EMA. Ethereum's back to being bearish again, and we were likely going to at least touch 2274, probably today. And then we'll see what happens once we get there. If we continue to fall further, then we get the trend line pretty close to 2180, right? And then if that breaks, then we're probably in deep shit. 2153 is a pivot here, so like that's kind of the line in the sand. If this breaks, then I'm probably going to attempt a short down to 1900, which is where I have my limit orders. 1900 are where my limit orders are in place right now for my first average back into Ethereum. And then for Bitcoin, I'm like in the 45 to 48K range is where I have limit orders there, with the possibility of seeing as low as 40K. Like that is possible. This cluster back here is where it should find macro support. So in between where we are now and 45K, it's kind of wide open. And if I throw like the volume profile on here, you can see how much of a gap there is in this range. Like there's nothing here, right? And so you don't really get any sort of peak in the volume until you get down into like the 45 to 40K range. If this level is lost, you can see significant downside very, very quickly because of the lack of volume. So just like it can move up with these huge green candles, it can move down just as fast as these went up. So that's why I want you to use extreme caution this week and pick your spots. Okay, I hope that helps. Let's go ahead and go into the chart requests. And if anybody has anything they'd like to ask me, please feel free to drop it in the chat. If it's crypto related, it's most likely bearish. I'll just go ahead and say that before anybody asks me. Last week, nobody asked me really anything because most things are bearish.
Little baby.
RKT. Let's see, RKT. Oh, by the way, Nvidia. I'm looking to short it this week, and if I can see like 121, 122, I'm gonna try a short scalp because of this trend line fib situation going on. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this week. Okay, let's look at RKT. Is that Rocket? Isn't that Rocket Mortgage or something? Rocket Companies? Yeah. Who's got their mic on? Come on. What's going on here? Who is it? I don't know. Can't tell. Okay, I've charted this before, and it looks like we're getting to the golden pocket. So yeah, that's kind of wherever, I don't know who asked me this last time, but this was kind of the target. And it looks like we've approached it and gotten a little bit of a sell-off so far, retesting the 8 EMA on the weekly, so that's nice. I would definitely be targeting, you know, at least the 0.68 here next at 22.86 if we can break that $20 barrier. Again, that $20 barrier is going to be a big psychological resistance, but we did clear it once already. If we go to the daily, ooh, see, I like that. So just like I was mentioning in the weekly outlook summary, when you see these EMAs do this curl like this, it's like a huge like confidence boost for me when I see that. Like that is likely going to break this resistance. Now it is resistance, and you have a trend line and your 0.618. There's no pivot there, so that's nothing to add to that. But if we clear 2023, you could likely scalp this 10% up like that, and that's a nice gain. So that's definitely something to watch for, and I like it so much that I'm going to add an alert right there, and when we cross that line, it'll ping me. So that's a nice setup. I like those EMAs doing that. If you look at USDT, that was the same thing I was pointing out earlier, and it was before they even started curling. I could see that they were going to, and so when you see this happening, you can have confidence that that's going to continue higher. So now we at least probably get more downside on crypto until we at least tap the 6% level again. Yeah. And then notice the weekly bounced off the 8 EMA like perfectly. So, and also with USDT dominance, it's very rare to get moves like this over the 0.5 and not get into the golden pocket. And that's with any asset. It doesn't matter what it is. So that's why I want to be very cautious here, and I'm still sticking with those limit entries on Bitcoin and ETH because we closed over the 0.5. We got over it here, actually hit the 618, and it's very weird to not at least go into the golden pocket to some degree after breaking these levels back here. So that's why I'm not really getting fooled by this recent move up. I still think that this is probably going to happen. Part of the rate bets, a few more moving similarly. AFRM, RDFN, UPSD. Oh, cool. Okay. Hey, do me a favor. Drop those in the stocks equities channel so I can remember and take a look at them if you don't mind, Zach. And I'll chart those. All right. Any other chart requests, questions? Anybody going once, going twice? All right. Thank you all for being here. Be careful this week. It's going to be a doozy. All right. Have a good one. Bye.